Okay, so welcome to another motivational, inspirational interview from Birmingham Wheelchair Basketball, Paradance UK, and also Chronic Warriors Wheelchair Boxing. I have the great pleasure and such an inspirational story to introduce Haven Shepherd USA swimmer. Haven, it's a pleasure to meet you. Let me introduce Owen Lamprey from Birmingham Primary School, Clifton Primary School, lead practitioner. Owen is our co-presenter on these interviews, and we've been doing now nearly up to over 80 of these interviews since 2020, since the pandemic. Please tell me your story, because it's such an inspirational story and obviously very traumatic as well. And I read the article on BBC News, and through what you sent me and your links that you sent me, and you're so inspirational. Please tell me all about yourself.
Yeah, so Haven Shepherd, I'm a U.S. Paralympic swimmer, and my story begins in Vietnam. I was born in Vietnam to two parents that had an affair and had me, and I was born very normal. I had my legs, and I'm missing both my legs below the knee. And yeah, I was a really healthy baby for all that they knew, but I was in a really tough circumstance. So my parents had an affair and had me, and I was the product of that affair. And in Vietnam, they thought the only way they could be together was to commit a family suicide, and they strapped bombs onto themselves and they held me, and all the damage was done to my legs. I was blown 40 feet out of away from the explosion. And that happened to me when I was 16 months old, and then I was adopted when I was 20 months old.
Right. I mean, you're an USA swimmer, Paralympic swimmer now. I mean, I take it that was your first Paralympics?
Yes, it was.
In Tokyo. So that's amazing to go to the Paralympics, and especially for your first time and be part of that. I mean, but looking at how it all started for you, who motivates and inspires you and gave you that passion to push yourself?
It's my family. So I'm the seventh child in my big family, and I just grew up in the gym. I mean, there wasn't a winter where I wasn't in a basketball gym, and then every summer was at the baseball park. I was just always surrounded by sports, and so that was just always going to be a part of my story. I was always going to be an athlete, and I started out in track, and then turns out I really hated track. And then my mom was like, you got to do something. Like, you just can't be just sitting at home while your siblings are at practice and all this stuff. So they put me in swimming, and I just fell in love, and I was actually really good. So they just put me in it, and I've been with it ever since.
Fantastic. I mean, you talk about in your story about being, having that freedom in the swimming pool, and you're able to just, when you get in that water, just do what you need to do. I mean, why do you think, why is motivation and inspiration so important to support others?
I think it's really important that what I do, it helps somebody else. I mean, all I do is just swim, but like what you guys are doing, I am moving so many people, and I don't even know it. And I think that's same way for other people too, of like, I can see you guys play wheelchair basketball. I cannot imagine playing wheelchair basketball. I also have like no coordination, so I can't even imagine wheeling myself and then like remembering to dribble every 3 pushes. I mean, like, I can't even imagine. So that inspires me, and I hope that it's the other way around. Just all really support each other, and I think that's what's really special about what we do.
Thank you. I mean, you're a very big hit on Instagram, and I've watched some of your Instagram posts, and you recently was in the car in a 4-hour trip across. I mean, where were you going from one place to another? And you do so many different things with IG. Is that something that those posts inspire others as well, and support your community?
Yeah, it's definitely in this day and age. I just turned 18, and so I'm still pretty young, and I get to have like this huge platform that I know I get to meet people, and like you guys, that I probably never would have met if I didn't have social media. And it's a hard balance between like work life and like having friends. I mean, like today, which is absolutely crazy. I had to do so many things, and my fingers are sore from all my typing of emails today. But that's what I get. That's what I get. That's my job. And there's never going to be anything you love full time. And so I see so many great benefits from what I do from social media, and like the downfall of like, oh man, I have to answer this email today. But it's all worth it at the end, because I get to meet so many great people. I mean, the biggest trophy I will ever say I will have, or ever, it's greater than any medal I will ever get one day. But just meeting the people that I have is just truly so much more special than anything I could achieve.
Brilliant. I mean, we talk about supporting inclusion and diversity in the community, and you talk about community, and IG is a community, and the amount of obviously responding to so many emails and different posts. But how can they support inclusion and diversity in the community and build on resilience? Like you show yourself so much resilience in what you do.
Yeah, I think I just did a thing with Instagram a couple months ago, making sure that everybody stays really inclusive in what they do. I mean, it's our system for being adaptive athletes is never going to be always correct. I mean, but we can just do the best that we can. And I feel like since we do have a voice out there, we can change a lot of different minds, and show people that we are not just athletes, for more than that. And I always say this, I feel like we're almost being more humanized. I know that, how we think about celebrities, like, they think we think they're like superhuman. I mean, when people look at us in public, they think we're just so cool and all this stuff. But when you have social media and having, being more of an activist out there for disability is definitely something that, humanizes us more, and for people not to be so shocked when they see us in public.
Absolutely. I mean, thinking about young people, and you say you only just turned 18 yourself, and we talk about giving that opportunities for young people. I mean, what would your message be to young people who have been through trauma, impacting issues, dealing with disability, conditions, issues and crises part of their daily life? What would you say to somebody who's going through, maybe not what you go through yourself, but have had those struggles themselves to push through that and gain that resilience and that determination?
Yeah. My biggest advice to anybody is going through a hard time right now is, my life that I've built was because I chose it. Like, I got to choose every single day what kind of world I wanted to see. And there's something so powerful with, controlling your own life, and making sure that you do everything that you can in your power to make sure that you want to succeed. And that's a true testament to what I do every single day, is that I choose what I'm going to create today, what my world is going to be. And if you're going through something hard, or suffering, or, trying to get into adaptive sports, or just are a new amputee, or a new in the adaptive world, that you get to choose how people look at you. And if you choose to look at yourself as, I can't do anything, like my life is over, like I lost my leg, I can't do anything now. If you go out there and you just try and choose joy and choose to live life, and I feel like that's the greatest advice I could ever give, because everything that you do in your own life is your responsibility. And I think it's really amazing when all the great stories of, what you do, Andy, and like what I do, is we always persevere. And what happened, how did that start, is because we chose to prove people wrong, and wanting to prove that we are more than just a adaptive athlete. So I feel like that's my biggest advice.
Thank you, Haven. Thinking about obviously the Paralympics, and it was your first Paralympics. I mean, what was it like for you being there for your first time and having that experience?
My first experience, it was really, I felt like a freshman in a university. I was just Like I was just looking at everything, taking pictures, asking my mom, okay, like how do I like my steak cooked? Or like I'm like, it was just like such a freshman experience. And I had a lot of fun. I told our head coach at we had a camp beforehand before we got to the village. I said, you are so brave to be taking 7 high schoolers to their biggest competition of their life. I mean, like it was a big team of young people, and I just had so much fun. I didn't have, that's just the best way I went into games. I just told my parents that I'm going in with no expectations and I just want to have fun and I want to be myself. And I stuck true to that. I literally went into every single race like, well, I'm just going to try my best. And if I don't make finals, I don't want to cry. Like that's how that's how I literally talked to myself before everything went down. But yeah, it was just a really cool experience, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. I was sick for like 8 days when I got to Tokyo, so that was not fun. But I was testing negative for COVID every single day, so they didn't like make me go home. I had a really bad sinus infection, and oh my goodness, I would consider those first 8 days some of the worst days of my life, because you don't want to get anybody else sick and you don't want to be sick. So that was kind of, I enjoyed the last 7 days of my trip more than the first 8.
Fantastic. So thinking about obviously the Paralympics and what your experience and taking from that experience, how do you think that will support you in the future? How will that support Haven with regards to your career in swimming and moving forward as a person?
Yeah, the Tokyo experience was definitely something that I will have with me forever. I mean, I had to do a lot of growing up in those stages. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm a fresh little kid going to these big meets with these adults. So I had to just grow, just from my swimming experience from now on, is just I had to grow up very fast. And so I definitely will take care of my body more. I don't cool down a lot. So I learned that from Tokyo. But emotionally, I just learned to make sure that I'm doing okay. I mean, the biggest topic of the Olympics was mental health and the post-Olympic blues, as they call it. And all my friends came to me, like I laid in bed for like 3 days when I came back home, and my friends like were in here and they were like, you know, how do you feel? Do you have post-Olympic blues? And I said, no, I don't have post-Olympic blues, because I decided that I needed to work on my mental health before I got to the village and maintained it throughout on. I mean, like if people would understand that mental health is an everyday thing. It's not like big event, boom, I'm out type of thing, but everything is your responsibility. And if you're not taking care of yourself mentally, physically, then you know you're just going to set yourself up for a big disaster. And that's the biggest thing I took away from Tokyo and now into my professional career, is always making sure I'm on top of my game of mentally, physically, and just making sure I am staying sane in my head.
Thanks, David. I'm going to hand over to Owen. I think Owen's got a few questions for you, and then we'll go into a new round, which is our quick fire round that we've been experimenting with our new interviews. So, Owen, over to you.
Hi, Haven. Absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
So the aspect to which I look at during these interviews is the school and education aspect. So I'm really interested to see, we've had lots of guests say that their inspiration was a particular person or their family, which in your case, it obviously was. What support did you have from your school, starting at primary, that's up to 11 in England, and then after 11, in support of your sporting career?
Yeah, I live in a very small town and everybody was very supportive. My parents actually took me out of school when I was in 7th grade to pursue swimming. So I've been a professional since I was about 15 years old. So I've just always had tons of support. Everybody was so excited for me that I finally went. And it was so rewarding to, you know, all the, you know, birthdays I missed, all the school events that I missed so many days of school for swimming. that it finally paid off, and it wasn't all for nothing. So everybody, my immediate family is 33. So I have my own little village in my home. So I've had lots of support.
And what other sports did you manage to play at school, and how did they manage to include you in that?
Yeah, my mom really didn't hold me back. I always tell people I don't really feel disabled because I was never really raised disabled, because there wasn't anything I couldn't do. So, I played all the Pee-wee sports. I played T-ball, I played soccer, which is your guys' football. And I wasn't good at it because you kind of need ankles to play soccer. So, but I did track for a long time, and I did it with my school, and I was on a club team, and I was really good. But then I looked up at my parents in the stands one day, and I said, you know what? I hate sweat going down my face, so let's switch it up. But my high school would have really loved to have me on their swim team, but I was just kind of too busy and traveling too much. So, but my school was very inclusive for me. They did everything in their power to keep me in the school district, and I just told them, guys, I can't go to school for 7 hours a day and train for about 5 hours a day. So they were supportive of that, and yeah.
That's great. So we've got a variety of different types of school in England and in Birmingham, where we're from. That's Birmingham, England, not Alabama. And we strive to be as inclusive as possible, both in our education system and particularly within our sporting field as well. What advice have you got for educators at a primary and a secondary level in terms of including people with a range of disabilities within their school and PE curriculum? What advice have you got for that?
My biggest advice is to not make them feel any different. I mean, that was the biggest issue when I was in school, was when, PE, they always made me, they always wanted me to do something, special, like I didn't have to run as with the other kids, I could just sit and while they did their own thing. But the biggest advice I would give them is just not treat them any different. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. They are a normal kid. And if you treat them like something's wrong with them, they're going to act like there's something's wrong with them. So that's my biggest advice, is just include them as much as you can, and make the class excited about them. That was the biggest thing, that when I was older, I realized what one of my coaches did. What was great is he really included me with the whole team. Like, they did stuff with me that made them excited to, want to go to PE that day with Haven. So that's my biggest advice to teachers and PE.
Thank you. We'll take that back. Throughout lockdown, throughout the last 2 years, one of the things that has kept the children at my school and the families at my school who have children with a range of physical or learning needs is the Superhero Try program. So we've been trying to run, cycle, wheel, push, walk with walkers as far as we can at different parts of the year, total up those and go on a virtual race around the world. And we can also do that with able-bodied people as our sidekicks as well. We've actually, for the first time, been invited to take part in the real triathlon here, the physical triathlon in December in Lake Dorney. And that's run by a former Paralympian herself called Sophia Warner. Have you got a message for all our superheroes out there that are going to spend the next 2 weeks doing as many kilometers as they can through in any way that they can possible, and then finally get to go out on an actual track and do the triathlon in December? What message have you got for us?
It's your rite of passage. Have so much fun. It's just knowing that you're out there, knowing that you belong there, and knowing that, you made it. I just have so much fun, and let it be free, and be yourself. I mean, that's truly who I am when I get into the water, is being myself. And I want you guys to all do that too. So go have fun.
Okay, I'll remember that as I'm running through the rain dressed as Iron Man. So thank you very much for that. Final question is, my son has converted me to basketball over the last 2 years. Andy's converted me to wheelchair basketball. And we're taking part, the basketball club that my son's at, taking part in an new inclusive basketball program. So I just wondered, who's your team in the States? I'm now a Suns fan. And what advice have you got for any of us embarking on a new program that we're unfamiliar with?
So I'm from the Midwest, so I am Michael Jordan all the way, Bulls. I mean, who didn't love Michael Jordan? He was amazing, and everybody should love him. Everybody should take his work ethic. Literally, I would die if anybody beat me. That is how he lived day and night, and probably to this day. So, follow the Bulls. You know, they're in a really crappy season right now.
They're not as bad as they were this season, actually. So it's improving.
Yeah. I was wondering, I have a friend from the Netherlands, and he was telling me all about this game I missed. And I was like, how are you watching that? How are you watching that? He was like, VPN. It was like,
so every morning we wake up, me and my son, and he gets the 10-minute highlights on YouTube. So we watch 10 minutes of highlights of 3 or 4 games in the morning before we go to school, or if we miss it, then as soon as we come home, just 10-minute highlights. You've got to try then not to find out the score during the day, but that's the way we keep up with it. And lots of the games are on satellite TV over here as well. So we'll wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning and watch those for a couple of hours as well. So when the Suns got to the final, I was waking up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, then going to work at 6 in the morning as well. So it's full on.
That's dedication. That's dedication.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll pass you back to Andy. And whatever you do in the future, do as brilliantly as you are now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Owen. Thank you. So, Haven, we've got this new round called Quickfire Round. So it's five questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Right. So what is your favourite food?
Favorite food? Rice and seaweed snacks, seaweed flakes.
Okay. Favourite drink?
Sparkling water.
Okay. Favourite film or TV show?
Anything with Shia LaBeouf in it.
Okay. Favourite music?
Classical.
Okay. So, and the 5th question: if you had a superhero power, what would that be and why?
Oh, I have literally thinking about this. So what my friends joke about is my superpower is singing off key, like all the time in the car. I'm never singing the right notes and all that type of stuff. So I want my superpower to be singing good.
Fantastic. We've got 2 more questions before we finish, and obviously they're related to your career and your future, and also about a motivational quote. So thinking about you as being a swimmer, but also you're a model as well. So what is the future goal for Haven Shepherd?
Future goal for Haven Shepherd is just to maintain my career right now. I'm quickly realizing adulting is a lot harder than I realized. I cook everything myself. I basically take care of myself to maintain my adulthood. So I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, it's a lot of hard work making sure you stay alive. I mean, like, you gotta do your laundry, you have to cook for yourself. I was like, it is a lot of hard work keeping yourself alive. So maybe in the future for Haven is owning her own house.
Fantastic. And finally, Haven, if you could think of a quote to support motivation and inspiration, what would that quote be and why?
My quote would be from Meet the Robertsons, keep moving forward. It's just so true. Like, if you stay in one spot, you're never going to improve mentally, physically in your career. It's just, you always have to be striving for that next thing and working hard to get that. So I would just say keep moving forward.
Thank you, Haven. Haven Shepherd, it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's been, you have been an inspirational young person, and keep being an inspirational person, because it's a pleasure to talk to you and watch what you're doing on Instagram, and keep going to the next Paralympics, and we hope to see you win gold for USA. So You know, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye, Haven.